Good to be back with you this morning. I know this year's Memorial Day weekend was different, thank you COVID, but I pray that yours was enjoyable and relaxing nonetheless. It certainly was for Brenda and me. We enjoyed a socially distant weekend with our family. And speaking of COVID, have you noticed that COVID has got the whole world distracted? And since I probably just insulted your intelligence with the mother of all understatements, let me explain what I mean by saying that. COVID has thrown off all of our traditional springtime activities. Things such as our kids' last day of school, Major League Baseball, opening day at the pool, graduations, and the list goes on and on. Even the usual springtime holidays, Mother's Day and last weekend's Memorial Day weekend, they snuck up on us. They came and went without the traditional fanfare that we're used to. Sure, they happened, but they certainly happened differently and much more low-key than in years past. And did you know that there's another springtime event just around the corner? There is, the annual Pentecost celebration, the day we celebrate the birth of the church. That's coming up this next Sunday. I hope that although we won't be able to gather together to celebrate the church's birthday, we won't have to be surprised by its arrival in the same way that this year's Mother's Day and Memorial Day snuck up on me. So, to make sure that doesn't happen, we're going to spend both today and tomorrow's devotion time talking about just that, Pentecost. So, Pentecost. If someone were to ask you what in the wide world of sports is Pentecost, how would you answer? Well, for those of you who've been around the church for a while, I'm thinking you'd probably have no trouble fielding such a question. First, you'd likely mention right up front that Pentecost has nothing to do with sports, athletics, or anything of the sort. And then, with that misconception put to rest, you'd probably go on to say something about Pentecost being a birthday celebration of sorts, specifically the church's birthday. You might even venture to back up your birthday analogy by referencing Acts chapter 2, the biblical account of the day that the church was birthed into being. And then, feeling like you were on a roll, you'd probably go on to tell your inquirer some of the details that Luke records in his Acts chapter 2. Details about how people from all different backgrounds, from all different places, and speaking all different languages, were all together in one place. And in spite of having nothing in common, about the way they were forged together and made one by God's presence. If that's how you'd respond to the what in the wide world of sports is Pentecost question, then kudos, you nailed it. In a nutshell, that's how the church came into being. But if you think about it, there's more to it than just that. In Acts, it says that after the original Pentecost participants were transformed and came into being as a church, they began doing things differently. Things like devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to sharing in meals, including the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. Being and doing. If you think about it, both of those words are integral to describing not just the birth of the church at Pentecost, but describing the church in general. You see, the church is about both being and doing. The church is a noun and a verb. That means being a church and doing church go together. The being is fundamental and the doing is the natural result. That to me is why we celebrate the day of Pentecost. The day we as a church came into being as a community, and the day we as the church's members began doing the work of reflecting God's loving, saving, and transforming presence in this world. Tomorrow we'll once again be talking about the upcoming celebration of Pentecost. In the meantime, keep on looking up, keep on loving one another. God's got this, and we'll see you tomorrow.